When you've reached the point in Arc Raiders where you're looting for value instead of materials, it can be hard to know what to pick up. Sure, everyone knows Lance's mixtape is valuable, and that parts from difficult enemies are worth their weight in gold. But what does an actually optimal run look like? How much value can you realistically extract? So today I'm breaking down the complete loot economy in Arc Raiders. We'll go through every rarity tier, show you which items to prioritize, and then build 2 optimal inventories. A somewhat realistic 200,000 practical run, using only common through rare items, and the theoretical maximum $300,000 run, which probably only exists in our dreams. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to pick up and what to leave behind. Hey, Future Bubbins here. I wanted to jump in and say that I know really hardcore Arc Raiders players are optimizing for time spent, not optimizing per run. And I get that. I'm just not the type of person to spawn in, run to the same spots, and look for the same loot over and over, and then extract as quickly as possible and get out of there. I treat every run the same, just exploring and looting as I go. So please don't end up in the comments yelling about how there are better items for your time spent or better methods to just quickly earn that 5 million you need for the expedition. That's not what I'm optimizing for here. I basically put this tier list together for myself to use and figured it'd be fun to share. It's really that simple. I just wanted to put that disclaimer here up front before we got too far into the video, because I know a lot of people will get to the end and then be like, what the heck? This isn't the fastest way to earn money, and no, it's not, but that's not really what it's for. It's for a math nerd like me who just wants to see what an optimal run would look like. That's really it. Thanks. Let's go back to the video. Before we dive into the tier lists, let's talk about the math that actually matters. Value per inventory slot. You see, Arc Raiders has 3 key constraints we're working around. First, you've only got 23 general loot slots, with a typical loadout which includes the secret pockets. Second, there's a 90 kilogram weight limit. And third, each slot can only hold a certain stack size of each item. This means the value of an item isn't just its sell price, it's the sell price times how many you can stack in one slot. For example, a single rubber duck is only worth $1,000. But you can stack 15 of them in one slot, which means a full stack of ducks is worth $15,000. That makes them one of the best common items in the game. This is the value per slot, and it's the metric we'll be using throughout the video. It tells you the total value you can get for using up one of your precious inventory slots. There's also the value per kilogram, which matters when you're bumping up against that 90 kilogram weight limit. Lance's mixtape, for example, has an insane 50,000 coins per kilogram, the best in the game. Keep these concepts in mind as we go through the tiers, because they'll explain why some seemingly trash items are actually pretty good loot. Let's start at the bottom of the rarity scale and work our way up, and honestly, some of the commons in the game punch way above their weight class. There are 3 common items that are pretty much S tier, and I see people skip these all the time. That's the aforementioned rubber ducks. They're everywhere in residential areas, and they're literally better than most rare items because they stack so highly, and they're pretty common. So if you're not picking this up, you could be leaving money on the table. The other items in this section include the expired pasta and the bloated tuna cans. These don't seem as common as rubber ducks, but they do stack up to 15. So if you can get more than 3 of them in a single run, they're better than bringing home those rare items. There are some other items that can reach 10,000 per slot, including assorted seeds. They're not worth much on their own, but you find them in large numbers, and they stack up to 100, which is 10,000 for a single slot and only weighs 5 kilograms, which is super great. Less common, of course, is resin, which stacks to 10 and is worth 1,000 each. It's a common crafting material technically, but I don't actually see them all that much, but do keep an eye out for them. For a sleeper pick, which I think is probably the most sleeper pick out of all of these, it's faded photographs. I never see anyone take these. They stack up to 15, which in total is worth $9,600 and weigh basically nothing. It's one of the lightest valuable items in the game, so when you're bumping up against that weight limit, these are really, really good. Everything else in the common tier is either materials worth $2,500 to $3,750 per slot, or low value consumables, so we can skip those and just focus on these 6 when you encounter them in the wild. Moving up to the uncommons, we've got a solid spread of valuable items, although nothing quite matches the top tiers. At $10,000 per inventory slot, we have agave and air fresheners, which are two of the best items of the uncommons. So if you see those cactuses, just pick them, because I notice nobody picks them. And because nobody picks them, you can actually reach up to 10 in a single game. Following that, there's the $6,400 produce per stack, which is apricots, lemons, mushrooms, olives, prickly pears, and roots. They're mid-tier picks when you've got room. And then there's the uncommon materials, mechanical components, durable cloth, electrical components. They're all okay. Again, $6,400 per slot. They're better than basic materials, but you're really only taking them if you need them for crafting or if you've already grabbed all of the better stuff. Following that, there's the $4,500 to $5,000 range, which is items like grape mullein, battery stacks, and various household items. They're okay, but definitely lower priority than everything else. The key takeaway, in the uncommon tier, prioritize agave and air fresheners, and then grab produce if you have space. Next, we get into the rares, and this is where the game gets interesting because there's a pretty massive spread in value. The king of all rares is actually showstopper grenades at $11,000 per stack. This is the highest value rare item, and I constantly see people leaving these behind. Even if you don't need them for combat, each one is worth $2,200, and that's better than 95% of the items in the game. After that, there's the 9,000 tier, which is a ton of items, which includes trinkets like the fine wristwatch, the silver teaspoon set, the music album, statuette, and vase. And then there's all the scientific equipment that drops from labs and research facilities like flow controllers, frequency modulation boxes, microscopes, mini centrifuges, the list goes on and on. All of these stack up to 3 items at $3,000 each for $9,000 total. They weigh 1.5 kilograms per stack, though some lighter trinkets only weigh less than a kilogram. Following that, we get to the advanced electrical and mechanical components. They stack to 5 at almost 9,000 per slot, not quite there. Good if you need the materials. And then under that is the 6,000 to 8,000 mid-tier, which is various grenades, consumables, and salvage items. Notable mentions include blaze grenades, heavy fuse grenades, and various $6,000 rare salvage. But things drop quickly off below that. Things like arc components, damaged parts, and low-value salvage in the 2,000 to 3,000 range. Only take these if you literally have nothing better. So let's put all of this together into a realistic loadout. This is what I call a practical run, quote-unquote, using only commons, uncommons, and rares, no epics or legendaries, because let's be honest, you're not getting a full inventory of those. But do keep in mind, this is assuming things are going relatively perfect. The idea that you get 15 ducks in one run is really low, but at least possible. With that in mind, this loadout hits $231,600 in value, only uses 41 kilograms of your 90 kilogram capacity, and gives you 50 kilograms of remaining space for weapons, gear, and opportunistic pickups. The inventory breakdown is pretty simple. We have the rubber ducks, pasta, and tuna cam, all worth $15,000. We have showstoppers, agave, air fresheners, resin, and assorted seeds, all worth more than $10,000, and faded photographs at just under that. Following that, we have the rare equipment wall. Fill all the remaining 14 slots with items that combine to $9,000 in a single stack. Things like that wristwatch, the spectrometer, Sentinel firing core, music albums, sample cleaners, flow controllers, those kind of things. This way you're getting nearly as much value as the theoretical max, but at half the weight. You have enormous flexibility to grab weapons, gear, or any epic items you happen to find. And the best part, it's technically achievable. You're not banking on taking down every difficult enemy in the map. The value per kilogram is 5,600 coins, which is actually higher than the max build that we're about to go over because you're not carrying such heavy items. But for the heck of it, let's talk about the dream scenario, the absolute maximum value you can extract in a single run, assuming none of your inventory spots are filled with duplicates, just because otherwise it would just be all Lance mixtapes in every single slot, which isn't realistic. This is the $300,000 loadout. To be clear, this is completely unrealistic. You need to find multiple epic items, both boss reactives and have perfect RNG, but it's fun to know what the ceiling looks like. At the top, we have 3 Lance's mixtapes for $30,000. It's the king, the best value per slot in the game, and also the best value per kilogram at 50,000 coins per kilogram. And then slots 2 through 10 are all epic materials: power rods, magnetic accelerators, bastion cells, bombardier cells, leaper pulse units, and rocketeer drivers. All of these in a full stack are worth about $15,000 each. Following that, we have the legendary boss loot: 1 queen reactor, 1 matriarch reactor, $13,000 each, but they do weigh 10 kilograms. That said, they're definitely worth it. Below that, in slots 13 to 15, we have the common powerhouses of rubber ducks, pasta, and tuna. They're good enough if you can get a full stack. Yes, they make the maximum possible build, which is how good they are. And then after that, we have the epic scientific equipment in slots 16 and 17, which is the spectrum analyzer and the Geiger counter, just over $10,000 each. Then we go back to the previously covered high value commons and uncommons in 18 to 22, which is the air freshener, resin, assorted seeds, agave, and the faded photographs. For the final slot is any of those rare items that we talked about earlier: flow controllers, signal amplifiers, anything that is worth $3,000 each and stacks to 3 for a total of $9,000 in that slot. The total value of this loadout would be $302,600. Total weight of 67 kilograms, which leaves you with 22 for your weapons and stuff. And the value per kilogram is back lower at $4,500. So there you have it, a tier list of all of the loot and what ideal runs could possibly look like. Naturally, this does not take into account the time spent, because I know a lot of people load in, grab some quick stuff, get out in 5 minutes. It might be faster per hour, but if you want to maximize per run, this is what it looks like. And hey, if you do somehow manage to pull off a run of $300,000, let me know, because I need to see that miracle. With this, I've actually put together a complete database spreadsheet with all 221 loot items color-coded by rarity and sorted by value per slot. It includes everything from stack sizes, weights, value per kilogram, the whole deal. I'll have it available on my Patreon for $1 if you want a quick reference guide while you're looting. And if this video helped you optimize your runs, leave a like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what your biggest distraction ever has been. I'm curious to see how close people actually get to these theoretical maxes. For now though, I think that's it. I'll see you next time.